Welcome to the Book Nook. Please come in and make yourself at home. If you're new to the Book Nook, welcome. It is such a pleasure and honor to have you stop by for a visit. If you're not aware of what the Book Nook is, it is a monthly bonus show that is a branch of the Faith and More podcast, which is part of Faith and More Ministries. And I'm your host, Reverend Angel Wise. I will be sharing things with you in the Book Nook that we just don't get the time to do on the Faith and More podcast. We share and discuss things like homeopathy, aromatherapy, music, binaural beats, books, and so much more. We also have Secret Time, where we share secrets about upcoming episodes, topics, and information that those who don't listen to the Book Nook won't get. So please make yourself at home, get comfortable, get your favorite beverage, curl up in your favorite chair or couch, and blanket and enjoy. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. How is everyone? I do mean everyone. How are you all doing? I so hope and pray you all are well and blessed. Please know that if you are in need of prayers, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I love to pray, and our Faith and More family love to pray, so let us pray for you. How do you do that? You just reach out to me through my email address, which is at the end of the show and at the end of every show. It's that easy, and it's absolutely free. If this is your first time in the Book Nook, thank you so very much for finding us. It is my deepest hope and sincerest prayer that you find everything that you're searching for here and more. And if you're returning to the Book Nook, you all know the drill, but I'm going to say it anyway. Infinite thanks, blessings, and love to each and every one of you for being a longtime loyal lover and supporter of not only the Book Nook, but also the Faith and More podcast. So before we begin, let us roll the disclaimers. The views and opinions expressed by the host, moi, are solely, which I mean that literally, mine. Any and all content provided is my opinion and is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. I always recommend that you, the listener, further investigate, contemplate, and meditate on everything that is shared. ISE's individual soul experiences will vary. Listening discretion is advised. I have so much to share with all of you in this Book Nook. Really, to me, it's probably going to be one of the best, if not the best Book Nook of this year. Not just the season, but the year. Yeah, I'm going out on that limb, and if it breaks, I'll accept my fall. But please let me know afterwards what you think. First, I want to start with something that's been coming up here and there, hit and miss, but consistently, is people trying to understand how I communicate with spirit, because the past couple seasons, as I become more and more in tune with spirit, it's bringing up questions, which is great. It's bringing up questions with people on, what exactly it is, how I do it, and, all the ins and outs, and how am I sure that it's, actual good or bad, or, and it just goes on and on and on. And I'm going to try my level best to shed some light on it here with the Book Nook, since we have the time and the space to do it. I do want to begin by saying it's extremely difficult to explain something that is beyond words. And we've talked about that quite a bit here on the show, as far as the existential, the mystical, things that are just above and beyond our humanality, and which goes high and above our verbal capacity to verbally express things. There's so much that goes far above and beyond. But I want to try to give you all, as much information as I can, at least try to make it as coherent and something that resonates with you. If after this you still have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. But please be specific with what your question is, and I'll do my level best to expand on it. Just know that so much of this is beyond words. It is so transcendent of our humanness. It is totally 100% our spirit. And we have to keep in mind that what you guys have heard me say, and you're going to hear me say forever and a day, is that we have to remember this, that we are spirits having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience. We've got it twisted around because of no fault of our own. It's just how we've been raised. It's how we've been conditioned. And don't look at mom and dad, grandpa, grandma, great grandparents, ancestors, because they were done the same way. They were taught the same way. Unless you are most blessed, and I mean most blessed, to be part of an indigenous family, you are born into an existence where you are taught and programmed that you are human and you're having a spiritual experience from time to time. But far and above and beyond, you are 100% human. Whereas in indigenous people, they are born and raised into knowing that they are spirits having a human experience. And that makes the a world and heavens of difference, because those babies, those children are raised and taught in the ways of spirit to remember in many, many methods and ways for them to remember what their spirit's mission is here in this human life. Whereas the rest of us, unfortunately, we believe we are human and we function as human and not as spirit, and we are slaves to the machine, the matrix, whatever you want to label it. We work to survive, and we are in constant survival mode. We are rarely, if ever, on a spiritual level or spiritual quest, or make time for our spiritual studies and practices and evolution, or just time to meditate. You know, I always hear, I just don't have time. Well, Angel, I just don't have time. I'm too busy. I just don't have time. Yeah, well, I can understand that. You know, I really can understand that, because again, this is how to us life is. But we really, and I can't state really enough or as many times as needed, that we have to start waking up to something different. We have to switch, change those gears, and realize why we are here and what we truly and naturally are, which is spirit. We are souls here, or whatever you want to label it, souls, spirits. The list is infinite on labels, just like labels for anything and everything. And again, it's a label, and it you put a label on it, it automatically constricts it. So your spirit, your soul cannot be constricted. It is eternal, and eternally connected to the divine, God, the creator, Adonai, Hashem, Allah. Again, whatever the great mother, Hecate, whatever you want to label what the all that is. Because again, labels, as we've talked about infinite times on the show, labels don't even come close. You can't put a human tag on something that is beyond human. You really can't. So we have an upcoming show about Melodama Patrice Somé. So you could kind of consider this a bit of a secret time. He was an amazing West African shaman, or shaman, however you want to pronounce it, and healer. And his story is just off the charts. You guys are going to love, or I pray that you love the episode. But his explanation really hit home with me on a great way, or probably one of the best ways to explain communication with spirit. He says, I allow myself to surrender to the higher forces. Again, label that whatever you want, with the clear intention that I want to be as clear and precise as possible. What comes out is something almost independent of me. There's something quite militant in it, because when I express myself, and not after heavy duty preparation, I know that Spirit is speaking through me. When I feel that intensity coming out, when I feel it, I know someone else will feel it. Every time I have attached my own emotion or capacity, I have to stand back and get out of the way so higher forces can speak. That has been transforming. I like to call that spirit. Spirit expresses itself in a way we cannot map, cannot tell ahead of time, and has its own plan, a plan not known to us. So that's Maladama's personal view and take on communicating with spirit or listening to spirit. I want to cite something from the Bible, which is 1 Kings 19:11 through 13. The Lord said, "Go out and stand at the mountain before the Lord. The Lord is passing by." He's saying this to Elijah, by the way. A very strong wind tore through the mountains and broke apart the stones before the Lord, but the Lord wasn't in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord wasn't in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord wasn't in the fire. After the fire, there was a sound, thin, quiet. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his coat. He went out and stood at the cave's entrance. A voice came to him and said, "Why are you here, Elijah?" So it's in the silence, it's in the quiet that we hear spirits, creator, ancestors, guardians, guides, guardian angels, etc., so on and so forth. It's only then, when we are allowing the noise of the wind, earthquakes, fire, all of the noise we surround ourselves with, the TV, in the podcast, this podcast doesn't count as noise, okay? Those things drowned out, or we allow them to drown out spirit. And when I say spirit, I'm using it as an umbrella term for all the above, for the creator, for God, for Adonai, Allah. Again, whatever you want to label that which is beyond labels, the universe, Hecate, spirits, guardians, guides, guardian angels, ancestors. That's my coverall. And I've actually had someone ask me, well, what is it? Who is it? I don't ask. And I have not been told. I mean, I get feelings that I don't ask. And I get the feeling that, as a matter of fact, it's next week's show is actually a message from Spirit show. And that was a very difficult show. And I get into all of that during that show. But what I do say in that show is that spirit that communicates with me most times feels that it's an older spirit that either has not been human for a very long time or has never been human, because it has a hard time sometimes relating to our humanness and human emotion. Like when it's asking me to do something or to record a show or to say something on the podcast, I really have to step back, allow spirit to express itself, and then step back and then try to strain it or dilute it or put it in terms that won't upset those who listen to it, because it comes off. And as our humanness, we could seriously, easily take offense to it and get our feelings hurt, because we very easily, especially these days, people get their feelings hurt very easily. And please know, that is never the intent and purpose of the show. This show is nothing but love and compassion absolute love and compassion. There's never in any intention of harm. Thus, the reason why I have disclaimers at the beginning of every show now to, again, resound that to others, to not be upset. If you hear something that you disagree with, then sit with it for a bit and analyze why you disagree with it. Why do you have a problem with it? Is it me? Is it spirit? Or is it something that you don't want to come to grips with? And if you have problems with that, figuring it out, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help. I'm always here for all of you to help. So back to communication. Number one, you have to be quiet. You have to have some type of quiet time, whether it's meditation. And I'm not saying prayer, because if you're praying, your mind is going. I'm saying you've got to just relax, be quiet, and listen. And not just listen with your mind and your ears, but as we've talked about for several seasons now, listen with your heart, because that is where you're going to pick it up. That's your main receiver, is your heart. Also, surrender. You're not going to receive any communication or hear anything from spirit if you're not surrendered to it, if you're not believing and trusting in it. And I know that is very, very difficult for a lot of people. And I've done shows on surrender and the importance of believing and trusting in the divine. And again, those of us who have been raised as humans and not as spirits in human form, we have a very, very difficult time with this. But it's not impossible. What I'm learning and what I'm opening up to and receiving as far as communication with spirit is not something out there. It's not something new agey. It's not something that is just limited to a few. It's something we all have the capability of doing, because we all are spirit. Spirit. We all are spirit. At our very core, our very essence, the light inside of us that runs the show is our spirit, which is always, always connected to the Creator, to the divine, God. Again, whatever you want to label it, whatever makes you feel good or helps you relate more to it. That's the thing, is to get in touch with your spirit. A very cute analogy that I like to use for this, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm quiet, I'm listening, I don't hear anything, I don't see anything, I don't feel anything, I don't. Be patient, because here's the little story, the little cute story, but very powerful story that goes with this, that may help you. So there's this man out in the middle of the ocean, middle of nowhere, in a boat, and the boat gets a leak, and he's unable to stop the leak, so the boat is steadily filling up with water and sinking. Another boat pulls up beside the man, says, hey, jump on here, I'll get you out of here. He's like, nope, I'm waiting on God. I'm prayed to God for help and to save me, and I know he's going to come through for me. So the guy's like, okay, and he goes on. Next, a Coast Guard ship comes up, says, hey, you're sinking pretty quick. Jump on here, we'll take you out. Nope. The man replies, I'm waiting on God. He said he would be here. I know he's going to come for me. I prayed to him, and I know I have the utmost faith in my Lord. He will save me. So they say, okay, and they go on. Then another Coast Guard, but this time a helicopter comes and is like, at this point, the boat has sank and he's barely treading water. He's been out for hours. He's exhausted. They come down on the ladder. Take my hand. Nope. I'm waiting on God. The Lord's going to save me. I've been praying. He said he'd come and get me. I know he will. I have faith in him. They said, okay. So they go away. The man sinks, drowns, and he wakes up in heaven or comes to consciousness in heaven. And he's standing before the Lord, God, the universe, Adonai, again, whatever you want to label, and says, "Hey, I thought you were going to save me. I was waiting for you. Why did I die?" And God replied, "I came to you 3 times as the guy in the boat, the Coast Guard in the boat, and the Coast Guard from the helicopter reaching my hand out to you, but you wouldn't take it." That, my friends, is an analogy, a very cute but powerful analogy that I love to use when it comes to communicating with spirit. For the life of us, the creator, spirit is around us all the time. Spirits are around us all the time. But literally, for the life of us, we don't see it. We don't hear it. I mean, if you just quiet yourself, take some deep breaths, relax, and just sit, you will be amazed at how spirit communicates with you. It can be from a commercial. If you're watching TV, which I hope you turn it off if you're doing this, it could be a song just out of nowhere that the lyrics just pop into your head. And that's a really good way spirit communicates with me, is because music is a big part of my spirit. A huge part of my spirit is music. So lyrics will just pop in my head from a song. And if I stop, instead of just, falling into that, "Oh man, why is this song stuck in my head?" and stop and listen in my head and in my heart, or say filter it through my heart. It's like, what is this lyric it's saying? A lot of times it's just about love and just reassurance and support. It's so beautiful and amazing. And it's something that's with us all the time. There's a story, and this is a true story, about Paul McCartney. Anybody heard of Paul McCartney? I think he's some rock and roll guy from, a day or two ago, maybe last Tuesday. So anyway, Paul McCartney's with the Beatles, and their producer had recently passed away, and the band members were starting to come apart at the seams. They were starting to split, and they weren't communicating well. They were having a hard time. They were partying more than they should. They were, doing excessive amounts of drugs and things of that nature. And Paul McCartney was very distraught, to the point that he was just depressed because they were in the process of working on an album, but he couldn't get everybody together enough, literally together enough to do anything, to make any progress. So he did this, took some time, quiet, because he's a very skilled meditation practitioner as well. He and the Beatles actually went to India and learned from some of the greatest yogis and sages on how to meditate, especially transcendental meditation, for those of you who are familiar with that. So he was meditating, quiet, relaxed. And his mother, who had recently passed, came to him and gave him such words of wisdom. Does anybody want to know what those words of wisdom were or are? Just listen to the song, "Let It Be." That's the message she gave him. In the song, he says, "Mother Mary comforts me." He's referring to his mother, whose name was Mary. And she gave him those words that turned into one of the most beautiful and powerful songs in human history. So again, surrender, believe, trust, be quiet, relax, listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, more so with your heart. And just be patient. Be patient. Don't ask for anything. Just be open. Just like you're taking a radio and you're turning the knob. You're just turning the knob. You're not looking for a particular station. You're just turning the knob, and you'll be amazed at what you pick up, at what you hear, and at what you feel. If all this still sounds far-fetched, foreign, hokey, new agey to you, and you're still saying you don't understand, I get it. It's like trying to explain the sound of a bird to someone who's deaf, or what the color blue is to someone who's blind. It's very difficult. That's not a derogatory statement to anyone. It's just that we have been raised and conditioned that we are blind and we are deaf to spirit. But that can all be turned around at any given time. There's also tons and tons of courses that you can take online, and you can do them through your phone. You can do them through your tablet, your computer, whatever floats your boat, whatever form of device that you prefer. Udemy is a great resource for classes. They run sales all the time. No, we're not sponsored by Udemy. It's Udemy, Udemy. I will have a link in the show notes description for those of you who want to check out Udemy. I've taken a lot of classes through them, and I'm still taking more classes. And that's another thing, is to educate yourself. If you really want to learn this, you really want to awaken to this, you really want to open to this, study it. I know. Angel, I don't have time. I know. Make the time. You will not regret a minute or a second of the time that you put into this. I 100 million infinitely percent. I just made that up, I guess. Guarantee you will not regret spending a second on study of communicating with spirit. If you are interested in books or anything of that nature, you're not the type that wants to take a course online, let me know. I've got a list of books I can give you that you can get through Amazon or through thrift books and study yourself. It really is a life-changing thing, folks, and I cannot stress that enough. To me, life was very flat. And looking back, before communicating with spirit, life was very flat. It was very one-dimensional. That's what we'll say, one-dimensional. Now it is so trans-dimensional. It is just off the charts. It really, really is. And I'm not saying I'm all that, because I'm not. I'm nothing. Like I've always said, I'm fertilizer, and I'd be happy if I produce some kind of nutrition for someone to grow and blossom from what I share, from any seeds that I can plant within you all. I mean, that would be the greatest blessing for me, is if I plant something inside of you that grows and blossoms and helps you in your spiritual quest in this human life. Okay, so let's turn the page. What's next? How about crystals? Remember, we started talking about crystals last Book Nook, the October Book Nook, and I said that, I think it'd be cool if we could once a month take a crystal and just talk about it, and we could learn together. And this month's crystal is, well, it's kind of a crystal, but not a crystal, How about meteorites? Yes, actual meteorites. They are available more than you would think they are. I was always under the impression that, it's a meteorite, and if they make it through their journey through our atmosphere and crash into our planet, that they're scooped up by scientists and they're put in museums, or categorized and logged and stuck in drawers somewhere in a science lab. But you can actually purchase bits of meteorites. I recently purchased one, and it's just, the energy from them is just amazing. It really, really is. So, what is a meteorite? A meteorite is a solid piece of debris from an object such as a comet, an asteroid, or a meteoroid that originates in outer space and survives its passage through the atmosphere to reach the surface of a planet or moon. When the object enters the atmosphere, various factors like friction, pressure, and chemical interactions with the atmospheric gases cause it to heat up and radiate that energy. It then becomes a meteor and forms a fireball, also known as a shooting star or falling star. Astronomers call the brightest examples bolides or bolides, Bolides. You take a shot at it. Meteorites vary greatly in size. Meteorites have traditionally been divided into three broad categories. Stony meteorites are rocks, mainly composed of silicate minerals. Iron meteorites that are largely composed of metallic iron and nickel. And stony iron meteorites that contain large amounts of both metallic and rocky material. Modern classification schemes divide meteorites into groups according to their structure, chemical and isotopic composition, and mineralogy. So the meteorite that I currently have is in a necklace form, and it is iron. Um, it is from a meteor that hit in Egypt, which to me that gives it even more power. But just having it is just amazing. And this was $20 for this necklace. Um, and I got it through Etsy. So you can get it easily through Etsy. You can also get them on Temu, Temu. A lot of people are buying on Temu now because prices of things are so very cheap on Temu. You just have to wait about a month because it ships from China to get to you. And I do have a meteorite coming from Temu that is also from Egypt. But this meteorite also has quartz in it, which to me is off the charts because if you listen to last month's Book Nook, you know all about quartz or a little bit about quartz. But to me, meteorites symbolize survival because if you think about how long it takes for a meteorite to develop in space from another planet or debris from a planet or whatever, how many millions of years it takes for it to form and then to make its journey from wherever it originated to our solar system and into our atmosphere and then to survive being just squished, pounded, and burned beyond recognition through our atmosphere to actually make it all the way to the surface of our planet is just it's just mind blowing. I mean, do that. Just take a meteorite, sit and hold it and meditate. Just relax, clear your mind, just be quiet and feel the energy, the vibes from that meteorite piece is just off the charts. If it could only talk, it would have so many stories to tell. And hold it, listen to it, open up to it. Maybe spirit can come through it. Maybe it has spirit because it is from the Creator. Remember, all things are from the Creator. But if you have any problems finding meteorites, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do some research and see if I can find you a place and send you some links. Okay, so that's our segment on crystals. I hope you all enjoyed it, found it fascinating. It really is. It's neat. And next month we'll tackle a different one. Okay. So what's next? How about let's discuss show suggestions and ideas. And since the beginning of the show, I've always been more than open to and actually welcoming for several seasons in the closing. I pretty much begged and pleaded for people to give suggestions for future shows or to share the show with someone or connect me with someone that I could have on the show to interview. And you all are for the most part, quiet as a church mouse, if not even more quiet. And I get that. I understand that. And I greatly respect that, because I too was once um, the shyest person on the face of the earth. Literally, I really was. Um, so I get it. I really do. But there's been a few people that have come forward um, and been quite persistent lately that they would like more shows about Jesus, more shows about God, more shows about the Bible. And these people are elders. And as I've said in the previous show, I have a hard time with confrontation, especially with elders. And I know you might say, well, what do you mean confrontation? It's how I perceive it. It brings up a lot of PTSD with me, and I tend to get really quiet because I don't I don't know how to respond, because I don't want to respond in a way that's going to hurt anybody's feelings or cause any harm. So I just tend to just not say anything, or I say very little, or I change the subject, and then I put distance between me and that person, because at that point I'm very uncomfortable. And it's no offense, or nothing against them. It's not their fault. They're just expressing, hey, I want more shows with Christianity in it. And here I feel more relaxed in this format, that I can express to you all that this is not a Christian show. I think I've been extremely clear on that from its inception, is that this show, although we talk a lot about Christian things, Christian theology, ideology, terms, religions, you got to remember there's over 45,000 different denominations of Christianity, 45,000 over. And if you're talking Catholic, there's over 7 different types of Catholicism. So I would ask, you want more of Christian terms, Jesus, God, Bible, but which one? Which branch? Which, Bible? Okay, which version of the Bible? There are over 3,030 different versions of the Bible. So which one? Which one do you want? Now, I'm not asking for a reply. I'm just giving this to you, this question, so you can sit with it for just a moment. And next, God. More shows about God. I firmly and strongly believe, and I'll go to my grave and beyond, that this show, every show, is about God. This show is about the Creator. So again, what do you label that? God, Creator, Adonai, Hashem, Yeshua, Allah. See, and if you give me a reply by saying, well, how about the King James Bible? Which, I hate to burst a bubble, but the King James Bible is absolutely the worst translation of all 3,030 versions of the Bible. King James is the absolute worst. It really is. We can get into that if you have questions as to why. You can Google it and look it up yourself, but it is the absolute worst version of the Bible. So say I was to take the King James version of the Bible and begin to do a show, say on, Matthew, the book of Matthew. We're doing a show on Matthew, the book of Matthew, King James version. Okay, that's great for those of you listening that love the King James version of the Bible, number one. And number two, love the book of Matthew. But what about everybody else? What about that show will resonate with anyone else? Now, you all could say, well, you give us information and, we have to translate it into our beliefs, how it resonates with us. Yes, but what I give in each show, or I strive to give, and Spirit strives to give to each of us in every show, is something that resonates with all of us at where we are in our life, in our spirituality, right here, right now. Something that's going to help us, help all of us. Now, I know it's impossible for me to do a show that resonates with 100% of those who listen. There's always going to be someone that doesn't get it, or is not ready for it, or it doesn't resonate with, or upsets. Again, that's the reason why we have the disclaimers now. And I profusely apologize for that, but that's at my level. That's the best I can do, is what I'm doing. We will do shows on Jesus. As a matter of fact, I have to say, be careful what you ask for. Be very careful what you ask for. Because if you want me to do these shows, you might not like the road that the show goes down. Because shows I would like to do coming up in season 7, hey, here's a spoiler alert for season 7, maybe a little secret time. I would like to do some shows on the Gnostic Gospels. The Gnostic Gospels are books that were thrown out of the original Bible and have been banned by the Roman Catholic Church, but it doesn't make them any less. In fact, they are more powerful. They are some of the greatest books about Jesus, about God, that are in existence, that we're so beyond blessed to have. And I know a lot of you have been taught that the Gnostic Gospels are heresy. I completely, again, I understand that. I respect that. I will have disclaimers out the wazoo. But again, the whole soul and purpose of this show is to educate, uplift, inspire each of you, all of you, in your faith, no matter what it is or isn't. And that's a very hard job for a human to try by myself, without, no, I should say spirit as well, but for the most part, by myself, to navigate and to create. I don't have any help other than spirit. I'm a one-man show without, unless spirit's involved, and spirit's always involved, especially lately, right? But I pray you feel where I'm coming from on this, is that I don't not talk about things because I don't want to offend people. I just don't talk about certain things in certain terms because I want to make sure it's accessible to everyone. As people say, well, just do some more things about the Bible itself. Okay, let's go over. What are the main points of the Bible? Okay, number 1, love your neighbor. Number 2, welcome the stranger. Number 3, serve the least. Number 4, feed the hungry. Number 5, forgive debts. Number 6, choose the other. And number 7, be a peacemaker. Now, take those 7 and apply them to each and every show we have. I believe we do a really good job of checking those boxes with each show. We don't have to say, as I did before, this is 1 Kings 19:11 through 13. That's not required. You can take, if you're studying your Bible, you can easily take what I share and go to your Bible and find many, many passages in your Bible that coincide with what I'm sharing here. And the same goes for everybody else. For those who are Buddhist, the Pali Canon, or the Dhammapada. For those who are Muslim, the Quran. Easy enough to cross-reference these. For those that are Hindu, Bhagavad Gita. All of what we talk about here, you can go to your holy book if you subscribe to a holy book and cross-reference what I'm saying there. It's going to jive with what your faith is. And that's the thing is too, folks, is we've got to do the work, do the research. Just don't say, hey, Angel, do more shows on this. If it's something you're interested in, yes, please don't hesitate to let me know what you're interested in, what you'd like to hear. I'm more than happy to do what I can, but please don't be upset if I reply that it's just not good for the show. It's not good for those who listen to the show. To just take a box and say, this is the box and everybody's got to fit in this box. And those who don't fit in the box aren't welcome, because this show is completely, ultimately inclusive. Everyone is welcome at this table. I will turn no one away, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your thoughts. All are welcome, and all will always be welcome. Who's that sound like? Not comparing. Doesn't that sound like Jesus? Doesn't that sound like Buddha? Doesn't that sound like Muhammad? We can do the very same. So if it's something you're interested in that you want more of, don't hesitate, reach out to me, but also do your homework. Do your study. Don't turn on the TV to a televangelist and listen to what they're saying. I have nothing against them, but they have ulterior motives. Do your own study. Don't listen to somebody else. And as I've always said here on the show, don't take my word for anything. Fact check the tar out of me if you want. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. That's how we ascend. And that's what this life is all about, folks. All about. It's about learning all kinds of things, learning all kinds of faiths, all kinds of ways, because they all come from one source, one point of origin. They all come from the Creator, whatever you call the Creator. They all come from God. Perhaps this will help a little bit more. Father Brendan Mooney, who resides in the UK, is a priest in the Open Episcopal Church. He's a hospice chaplain, and he's also a member of the Oblates of Perpetual Light. He recently posted on his Facebook page, and this is from him: there is a difference between spiritual and religious. Spiritual people who are either religious or non-religious more often have deep compassion and a desire to connect with others as family. Religious people who are spiritual tend to draw upon dogma to deepen their spirituality, not to affirm exclusivity. Religious people without spirituality and in love with dogma can turn dogma into a weapon against people unlike themselves. And I know it's really easy with the terminology used on this show to get lulled into, or worse, to begin to believe that this is a religious podcast. It's not. It's a faith-based podcast. And to me and to Mr. Webster, faith, the first definition of faith is to believe and trust in someone or something. And that is the Creator, the universe, divine, Allah, Adonai, Hashem, Hecate, the Great Mother. Again, whatever you want to label that which is beyond labels. So it's important that we remember, keep in mind that this show, above all, is spiritual. As I always say at the very beginning of each show in the introduction, is that this is a trans-denominational show. I am a trans-denominational minister, which means it transcends any one religion. It goes beyond religion. It goes beyond the labels. So I hope that has helped Yeah, it was still as uncomfortable as all get out if you couldn't tell. But I pray I have addressed it. Again, folks, please keep the suggestions coming, but just please don't be upset if it's something that is just beyond the show. Please, when you listen to the show, and I've said this a long time ago, but I should have been reminding people all the time. Before you listen to each show, please do me the biggest favor. Take some quiet time, just maybe 5 minutes. Catch your breath, relax, take some deep, relaxing breaths. Or if you have a lung disorder or breathing disorder, do the best that you can do. Try to clear your mind. Focus from your mind to your heart. Keep your focus in your heart, then press play on the show and feel the show. Feel how the energy from the show resonates with your heart. Try your best not to filter it through your mind, because that's when judgments come up. And we don't want to be judging. Now, there's nothing wrong with critiquing. Believe me, I critique the show to pieces. Not as much as I used to, but I do. Except for, even when spirit gets involved, I tend to put my foot in my mouth, or I should say put my foot in spirit's mouth. More on that next week's show. Or I should say, this coming Sunday's show. You'll hear all about that mess. But anyway, I pray that this has helped. If it hasn't and you need more explanation, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Even if it makes me uncomfortable, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to try my level best to explain it in more detail or in a way that you can understand. Secret time. Yes, it's secret time, folks. And oh my. If you made it to this point, you're going to be beyond happy, or at least I hope you're going to be beyond happy of what secret I have to share on an upcoming show that is just going to be nuclear, off the charts. As a matter of fact, the show is going to be recorded this Sunday. And what's the show about, or who is going to be on the show? Yeah, we're actually going to have a special guest on the show. And I have to give full credit to Haven on this. She recently found some Native American gentlemen who have a YouTube channel, who one of which is a very powerful shaman, or shaman, however you want to pronounce it. And they are just amazingly off the charts. It's two brothers and a group of other gentlemen with them that are Native Americans that go out and do blessings of land. They do exorcisms. They go skinwalker hunting, if you're familiar with what a skinwalker is. Just very, very amazing beings. So I reached out to the one of them that is the elder shaman, and he agreed to do a show. So we will be recording that this Sunday, and that show will air December 3rd. So there's another secret for you. December 3rd is the show to keep an eye out for with that gentleman. And let me just give you a little bit of his credentials, okay? He is an ordained, culturally renowned exorcist, healer, and warrior. He has been a part of the paranormal and spiritual realms all his life. This is what we were just talking about, is people of indigenous backgrounds and cultures that are actually raised as and born into knowing and being taught that they are spirit having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience, which is what the rest of us go through. So at the age of 13, he was chosen of one of 4 individuals from his tribe to undergo very extensive training that goes above and beyond what a normal medicine person would go through. He was trained by a high council of mentors and training with his peers from other tribes and backgrounds. He utilizes his sacred knowledge with every interaction. He has earned many feathers with the High Council's teachings and has earned the right to teach others. He has a special technique that only he has the ability to communicate with entities of all realms and actually get to know what they need and want. So we were just talking about spirit communication, and we talked about connecting with spirit. So I reached out to this young man and I asked if he'd be on the show, and he immediately, wholeheartedly wanted to be on the show. So again, I'm going to be interviewing him this Sunday. And one of the big points that we're going to talk about is what we've been talking about all this season and most of last season, season 5, is how can we become more in tune with our spirit? Because for the majority of us, it's very difficult because it's counter culture of what we've been raised and taught and programmed, you know. So hopefully, and I'm sure he will, he'll have some information for us to help us with that and also give us perspective and understanding and wisdom and knowledge from his tribe and his understanding of what the spirit world and spirits are and is. And I am so beyond elated and excited to do this interview with him and to share it with all of you. And I've also offered him to share whatever he wants to on the show, to talk about whatever he wants, other than, you know, helping us connect more with spirits and becoming more aware of our spirit and our spirit's needs and our journey and goal for this lifetime. Whew, I get the spirit bumps just thinking about it. I hope you all do too. So, my dear brothers and sisters, that is this Book Nook for November 2023. Again, I hope it didn't come off too brash and sassy. I really hope that you all felt the love from where I'm coming from, and that you always feel the love of where I'm coming from with not only the Book Nook, but every show, each and every show, and each and every word that this ignorant one utters. It is all meant and comes from love, compassion, empathy. None of it is said or uttered in harm or with any harmful or dark intent. So please know and feel that. I love each and every one of you. You all have a most amazing rest of your week, and stay tuned. We've got another Faith and More podcast, a message from Spirit, coming this Sunday. I so hope and pray you've enjoyed the show and that you found everything that you're searching for and more here with us. Stop by anytime, all the time. You are family. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with as many people as possible. Subscribe, rate, and review. And if you really enjoyed the show, please consider making an offering. Offerings are a great way to help sustain and improve the show and the Faith and More ministry. Offerings can be made through Patreon at patreon.com. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Faith and More podcast. Next is prayers. I love to pray, and our Faith and More family love to pray as well. So let us pray for you. You can email me directly at faithandmorepodcast@gmail.com. I am also offering healing sessions now that involve angelic, intuitive, and quantum healing. This is done via phone or Zoom. Due to the scope, energy, and time involved in this type of healing, there is a minimum donation required. Please contact me for more information at faithandmorepodcast@gmail.com. Also, please don't forget about our YouTube channel. There's lots of great videos there, and it gives you more of an immersive experience. Just go to youtube.com/@faithandmorepodcast. So until next time, have a most blessed week, and know that each and every one of you are in my heart and prayers. Bless you.